Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, meteorologist Greg Majeski, your trusted weather source here, bringing you weather without all that social media hype, here on your Saturday, May 10th, 2025. Now, before we get going, we first always like to say thank you and welcome aboard to any new subscribers here to the channel. And if you're not yet a subscriber just yet, please consider it. Hit that subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And if you appreciate this report, please leave me a comment down below. Give me a thumbs up. It does help out with the channel. All right, let's go take a look at the big picture. We're looking at our satellite imagery here from our GOES 19 satellite, and we're watching a couple areas. Obviously, we got some rain up here across the northeast, got low pressure up this way. We got low pressure here in the southeast. It's producing some thunderstorms across Florida, and it's going to be a slow mover, folks. You folks across the southeast are going to stay damp all weekend long. And we have another little system here coming out here on the west coast we have to talk about as well here for this report. Now, looking at your watches and warnings right now, we do have a couple areas. We have flash flood watches down here across the south, as well as up here into the areas of the northeast. Now, I suspect this areas here in the deep south may see that area expand a bit here through the weekend, as that low pressure is really not going to be moving, and we're going to be seeing some copious amounts of rain and some rain totals here that I'm going to show you here during this report. Now, as we look at our surface map here, you can see the rains here across the southeast, very indicative of that low that's just kind of stuck there. This one is moving off, so you folks up in the northeast will see improving conditions there. Weak frontal boundary here across the high plains and across the areas of the Midwest, not looking too bad there, coming to the Great Lakes. And again, you got that rain here on the west coast as well, as we watch that next system kind of moving inland as we head toward Monday. And it'll be that disturbance we'll have to watch toward the middle of the week that may produce a little active severe weather across the middle of the country. Now, speaking of rain, now we are getting some beneficial rains down here across Florida. This is your latest drought index. You notice it's been kind of dry down here through Florida, so we're going to be back that drought conditions there a little bit. I wish we had some better news for you folks here from California back toward Texas. Not going to see a whole lot there. I'll show you the big total here in just a second. Not going to get a whole lot of relief there from the drought that's been going on down there. But you folks in Florida, different story. We are getting some rain there right now for this morning. Coming up here from Waycross, Georgia, back down towards Cedar Key, getting some rain and some thunderstorms. So some rain probably moving into the Gainesville area here a little bit later for this morning. Now, as we go ahead and take a look at the Storm Prediction Center, we're going to be looking at what's going on here as far as the rainfall amounts, as far as the thunderstorms are concerned, as I should say. As we do have a couple areas we're going to watch for a marginal risk for severe weather, which includes, obviously, Florida. You see that green zone in there across a big part of the Panhandle down toward Cape Coral. And we also got another spot up here across Idaho and into Montana we got to watch here for possible severe weather for today. Now, these are going to be very isolated. Shouldn't be anything too widespread. We'll go and track this through the weekend. Again, there's your day 2, a little bit bigger zone there across the southeast and still continuing across Montana and areas up toward North Dakota. And day 3, still tracking that trend here across the southeast, Carolina and Florida once again. Multiple days of rain ahead. So again, a little bit of a drop buster help down there toward Florida with this situation. Let's go and break it down as far as the category here for today. For your Saturday, we are seeing a slight risk of tornadoes here down toward Florida. As I zoom in a little bit closer here, you see Dothan, Panama City, down in this area, Tallahassee, it's running about 2%, so not running too high there. Now, as far as your wind threat's concerned, again, running about 5% there in those 2 pockets there across Florida, as well as out toward Montana and out toward Idaho. So we're watching out here toward the west, as down here across the southeast, you could see some gusty winds up to 60 miles per hour in those 2 zones. Hail threat, that shouldn't be too big of a problem here. Obviously not seeing out toward the west, but we are seeing some down here toward Florida. Maybe some, dime size, maybe nickel size hail in these zones possible with a few of those isolated thunderstorms that do pop up. Now, we are going to be watching the flooding. That's going to be a bit of a problem here over the next several days, especially across the southeast, as we do got a couple of pockets. So I'm going to take you through the next 5 days, and we're going to track this a little bit. Again, you see that yellow showing up there across portions of Florida and Alabama. That's indicative of kind of a little more slight risk there instead of a marginal risk. Here's your day 2, but boy, does it really expand out. Georgia, Carolinas, into Florida, pretty larger area there as we go in towards your Sunday here across the southeast with some pretty beneficial and some heavy rains there for parts of the areas that need that rain. Day 3 moves up into the Carolinas and down toward Florida. Day 4 starts to slowly pull away as that low begins to pull up toward the north, seeing things begin to improve. But we'll shift the activity up here to the mid-Atlantic. We'll have to watch up in here for some heavy rains there, getting near the D.C. area. And then finally on your day 5, we'll kind of shift things up to the high plains a little bit with some heavier rains expected up that way as we head toward Montana and up toward North Dakota. So let's go and take a look at your model data here. So we're going to be looking at your model guides. So we're first going to be taking a look at the North American model here. It's going to take you right into about Tuesday afternoon. And the thing we're going to notice are two things. Obviously, we got that one low that's finally kicking out of the northeast, saying goodbye to that one. Hello, go there. This one just kind of meandering here for days here and finally starts to move here toward the tail end of the model, but that's going to be dropping copious amounts of rain there across the southeast as that upper level low is kind of cut off. And then we got the next storm system here moving in out on the west coast. This will be predominantly going in toward your Monday. So here comes that low kind of tracking on in here, bringing some snows with it. Yeah, got some snows across California, Idaho, and then moving on the interior sections out here toward the west. So a little unsettled out here toward the west with that storm system out there as we go in toward the beginning of the new work week. And it'll be that system there we got to watch. Could set up some severe weather heading toward about the 15th of the month here as we go into the new work week. Now, as far as rainfall amounts here for this weekend, obviously the heaviest rains will be across the southeast with that low that's kind of stuck there. Heavy rains across Florida. We've got some rains across the northwest as well and into California. Not too bad, though. Generally staying less than an inch, basically about a half inch to an inch into those zones, and a little bit of rain here across areas of New England. Now, obviously, these areas here in the south are where we're going to see the most heaviest rains are going to set up here. A lot of this area is in purple. That's over 4 inches. This area here in blue, that's over 5. So you can see the 5 inches, 4 inches, 3 inches. A lot of areas in here over the next few days going to see a lot of rain. And, of course, down there in Florida, where, remember, I showed you that drought conditions in there. They're seeing 2.5, 1 1/4. So, definitely some very beneficial rains there for the state of Florida, which has been very dry this past several months, really going back toward winter. All right, let's go and take a beyond this now. We're going to go beyond the weekend here. We're going to look at the European model, day 3 through 10. So we're looking at the next 10 days here. So we're going to finally keep that low pressure system out into the northeast. And then we got a couple of systems we got to watch that's going to be bringing in the thunderstorm threat. As the country warms, as we get deeper into May, we're going to have a lot more instability or heat to feed these thunderstorms with. So that's one ingredient. Then you got to watch these little cold pockets that are going to kick out of the Rockies and fire up that instability. And we're going to be looking at the thunderstorms go up. So the severe thunderstorm potential is definitely going to be on the rise as we go deeper into the month. All right. So let's go ahead and stop this real quick. And I'm going to highlight just a couple of storm systems that we got to kind of watch here for this upcoming week. So let's back this up here a little bit. As we go in toward the high plains here, going up toward the 15th. So you see there going into the 15th there, you're seeing some of these thunderstorms flaring up here across Iowa into Minnesota. Those areas, got to watch that into the 15th. So this area associated with this low pressure system here, that'll be our first round for watching for severe weather on the 15th. Then we'll go ahead and progress this forward. That'll move off across the Great Lakes. As we go into the 16th, you're seeing these storms here starting to show up here as we go toward getting toward the 16th, going into that morning. So you've seen some storms here. We have to watch in this zone because we're going toward Friday of next week. And that'll continue to move off to the east. See a little more bubble up there in the afternoon there on your Friday across Arkansas, parts of Virginia, parts of the Carolinas. Again, there could be some severe weather potential with some isolated storms there. And you see that kind of really flare up there on Saturday. This is Friday night into Saturday. So we'll have to watch this zone for potential severe weather from Tennessee back over toward Texas as we head toward the 17th. So we got a couple of these days to watch. And then as we take this forward in time, again, going out to the end of this, there's a few storms there. And then we got to watch this storm system here. This is one on the end of the 10-day. I don't want to go beyond about 10 days because it's kind of extrapolation at this point. But we do have to watch this system here in the middle of the country as we head toward the 19th and 20th. All the long-range projections are that we're going to have an active severe weather potential as we head toward the 20th of the month. So stay tuned for updates on this as we watch this, as we get a little bit closer to it. But we do have a couple of rounds we got to watch for next week. Doesn't look like anything as far as a major super outbreak, but we are going to see strong gusty winds, isolated tornadoes, and some hail, especially on those days that I highlighted there for you. Now, as far as the rainfall total is concerned over the next 10 days, let's look at that. Obviously, the southeast is going to see a lot of that over the next several days, but we do bring some more rains here across the areas of New England. And with a few of the storms coming out of the west here, we got some pretty decent rains. Looks like 2 to 3 inches of rain here across portions of Wyoming and into Montana. Some pretty good, decent rains there. Notice that, remember I showed you where the drought conditions were? We're not going to get any help here the next 10 days from the southwest. So Arizona over to Texas, not going to see a whole lot of relief there. Despite Texas having a lot of thunderstorms here, you would think their drought conditions have been beat back a little bit more than what it has been, but not so much. Now, next thing we're going to be watching here is we're going to be watching these disturbances here. So again, I want to kind of highlight again these disturbances that are going to be kicking out. So again, we got that one on the 15th we're watching. there across the high plains. That's the one we're going to have to watch for that initial severe weather pocket up this way that we have to watch, and that'll be heading toward the middle of the week. So we're just kind of rehashing that. And then we got to watch the next system pulling out here going toward the 19th and 20th. So this is those two disturbances here will highlight these disturbances coming out of the southwest and into the plains as we head toward the 20th. So again, I just want to highlight the fact that as we head toward the middle of the month, I think things are going to get a little more active. A few little disturbances, and then they're really kind of potentially kicking up as we head toward the 20th. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, report up. We'll go and look at your climate outlook here. Again, one of the ingredients that you look for severe weather is any kind of battleground that kind of sets up. And you clearly are seeing that here as we get the cooler weather here in the west and the warm weather here in the east as we go from the 15th through the 19th. So we're definitely seeing that taking place for that time period. Now, as we go beyond this, as we go to pull out this, and I'll have to go ahead and take this out toward the 6th to 14th, it does modify a little bit. Obviously, a little bit warmer weather out toward the west now. And it looks like we're staying warmer kind of from coast to coast there. Now, one thing is looking pretty certain here on this outlook. It's looking wet, all right? And obviously, when we're talking about getting into May and we're getting into, spring weather and severe weather, when you see it like this, like we're seeing right now, we're going to stay very much on the wet side here across a big portion of the country. And that, of course, means thunderstorms. And we got to watch it very closely on where these individual storm tracks set up here. And it looks like that will continue deeper into the month, too. And you notice we got a big bullseye there kind of lining up there across portions of Missouri and into Illinois and into portions of Oklahoma and into the south. So this zone here especially looks like around the 20th. Again, that's what the long-range models are showing. We got to watch very carefully there for the potential for supercell thunderstorm activity. Those big ones that can drop your large hail and spin up your possible tornadoes. So we'll watch that very closely as we go deeper into the month of May. Again, I want to thank everybody for checking out the report here for this morning. Again, if you have any weather-related questions in your area or your part of the country, please feel more than free and happy to go ahead and post it down below. I'll be more happy to respond to your questions. And again, if you have not subscribed yet to the channel and you'd like to include this as one of your weather sources out there in the YouTube universe, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted when I do these updates. And again, I do appreciate you guys supporting our little channel. All right, that's y'all's update for today. You guys have a great weekend. Be good, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.